Good afternoon to everybody. We want to thank Elizabeth and family for sponsoring the Dvar Torah. It's Le'ilu Nishmat Dov Shlomo ben Ruvain Yosef, Dr. Dorfman, Zecher Tzadik Divracha, a big chassid of the Gra, wonderful doctor, who his yortzad actually is on Shabbat Shuvah, this Shabbat Shuvah. So I was thinking that since that Dr. Dov was a very well-known doctor and everything was al pi halacha, and he was a real mensch in his caring of patients, I thought maybe to quote something that is to do with a fast and with to do with medicine and with the inyan of deciding on fasting on Yom Kippur. We all know that one of the inuyim, one of the things that we have to do on Yom Kippur is to fast. The fast, unlike a fast of Tisha B'Av, is a fast not out of mourning, but a fast, let's call it a positive fast, as the Rambam describes it. He describes Yom Kippur as Shvitat HaAsor, the Shabbat of the 10th day. Usually we've got a Shabbat of the 7th day. He defines it as a Shabbat of the 10th day. The 10th day referring to Yom Kippur. So just on Shabbat, we don't work, we put our work on hold. So that's what we're doing, is we're putting our bodily needs on hold, and we are acting like angels, but so it's out of a sense of being lofty and not out of a sense of mourning. The Gemara then in the Mishnah in Masechet Yoma speaks about who decides. Let's say a person's not feeling well, or there's doubt whether the person should fast or not fast. There's a problem over here, obviously, of pikuach nefesh, that it might be dangerous to fast. So the Gemara and the Mishnah and the Gemara goes into various scenarios and circumstances and principles of when and who decides whether one can fast or not. So in one of those more complicated scenarios, the Gemara says, what happens if there are even two mumchim, two like expert doctors, and they, after examining the person, they say, you know what, this person is fine. He's able to fast, and yet the person who's in question, he feels that he's really feeling terrible. He feels that he's just not right. He feels that the fast will be terrible for him. So the Gemara, at least initially, says that he doesn't have to fast. So what have you got? You've got the sick person, the patient, and he is at loggerheads, and he is contradicting what the expert's saying. The expert's saying, you're fine, and he's saying, no, I'm not fine. So then the halacha is that we go according to the person who says, I don't feel fine, and then he doesn't have to fast. Of course, we'll have to be very, very careful when in understanding this halacha, because after all, when it comes to Yom Kippur, we're speaking about a very grave situation if a person doesn't fast where he should be. So, okay, let's get back now to the point. The Gemara says, where do we learn this from? What is the source that if the experts say, I mean, they're doctors, they know a person's body better. So if the experts say that he's fine, so why are we listening to the patient who says he's not fine? On what basis and what is the source that we are listening to the patient? So the Gemara quotes a pasuk from Mishlei, Leiv Yodea Marat Nafsho. The heart knows the bitterness of its soul. Unbelievable concept. The concept is that a person sometimes, leave all the experts, a person, because we are close, we know, we are sort of in touch with our bodies. It's something that we sort of like, we feel and we experience like 24/7. If we just pay a little bit of attention, so we can know what's going on in our bodies. So, and we see this always in the medical profession. Many, many times people don't feel well. They feel that something is not right. I just went to check a tefillin the other day, or check mezuzot, And the person told me, you know what, he said he had a stent put in. And he said, you know what, when he went to the doctors, they did they checked, everything was fine. And he said, but you know what, I feel very dreary. I feel that I'm weak the whole time. I have to sleep the whole time. In the end, he did have to have a stent. But what we all know from so many stories, sometimes even ourselves, the experts, and they are experts. We're not doubting their expertise, and even the machines. The machine says, look, we found there's nothing wrong. The ECG is okay, this is okay, the MRI is okay, it's all okay. And yet the person feels that there's something that is chronically wrong, that only that to be vindicated, let's say, a couple of weeks later. So that's what it's based on. Lev Yodea Marat Masho. If we extend this, we want to share with, and that this applies not only to being in touch with our bodies, but like Rav Kook says, that the person, when we learn Torah Teshuvah, we say that we have to be very careful, but it applies to a person's spiritual forces as well. Person like knows also, is in touch with their feelings, with when something is right or wrong. As I said, I say it with great caution and with great warning. Like Rav Kook said, we've got a Yetzer Hara many times. When a person says, I feel, who's the I speaking? Is it the Yetzer Hara? Is it not the Yetzer Hara? Is it a person's imagination? Who's this I speaking? Right, so one must be very careful, unlike the body, but the principle in really applies in the same way, that we in a way are like in touch. We can be in touch of, like, when we feel something's just like right or something's not so right, with all those reservations that I said. If we look actually, and this is borne out, this idea of Lev Yodea Marat Masho, is that we find a very interesting expression when it comes to Yonah HaNavi. Yonah HaNavi doesn't want to fulfill his mission to go and tell the people of Nineveh that in another 40 days things are going to be overturned. He wants them to be destroyed. He wants them to destroy it because, after all, they are the enemy. They are the Ashur. I mean, they were the people who exiled 10 of the 12 tribes. So he thinks, why should I go and urge them to do tshuva? Let them adarabah, let them suffer. Isn't that what truth dictates? Isn't that what fairness and righteousness dictate? That the enemy, who now cause such pain to the Jewish people, that they shouldn't be able to do tshuva. But Begitzur, he tries to run away from Hashem, and he can't do it. And then it says, there's an interesting expression. It says that Yonah barach el nafsho. Now, the simple meaning of barach el nafsho means that he tried to flee, that he el nafsho. As some people say, el nafsho means that he was prepared even to die. But it's a very strange expression. I mean, usually we say barach le nafsho. So barach el nafsho means that he fled el nafsho, into his soul. In other words, what he did was that he connected with the very essence of his soul. So that's what we're trying to do on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, actually, we all in shul together, but actually, as much as we together, we also very much alone. Each one is el nafsho. It's a 24-hour period in which we are like alone, with our thoughts, be it bodedut, just us and the Machzor and Hashem. So that's what we learn from these principles. It expresses itself, Lev Yodea Marat Nafsho, that sometimes the person knows he's in touch with himself, something's not right, and therefore he shouldn't fast. It expresses itself also in a person like Yonah. Part of the tshuva is to go to the very core of his soul, Barach el Nafsho. And in that way, that we should be zocher always, and especially this Rosh Hashanah, to do tshuva. So Shabbat Shalom lekulam, and Aktiva v'chatima tova to everyone. Kol tov.